What's going on, you guys? How's it going? localJohn1812.
jrod84.
Back again with a weekend sports update, and we're watching Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. Yankees versus Red Sox, one of the greatest rivalries
in
yeah,
sports.
In sports. It's been around since, what, forever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been around since...
It's been around for a long time.
It's been around, I'm 30, and it's been around probably twice me, 60 years, I would say.
Actually, probably longer than that.
And longer than that, for sure. So, I'm a Yankees fan, and I like the rivalry. I've watched it since I was a kid, from the 90s till now. So we won the first part of the doubleheader today. They had a rain makeup or some type of weather situation from a previous game. They went ahead and played it today. So that makes 4 games in this series for everybody. And the Yankees have won, looks like 2 of them. And if they win tonight, that would be 3, so they would get the series win. So, not too bad. Aaron Judge is having one hell of a year.
Yeah.
Rookie.
Yeah, so far putting up MVP numbers in the first half of the season.
And he won
the home run derby
as a rookie, which is good for him. And I believe it was a rookie. Yeah, they said won the first ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
He played a little bit last year, but not enough games to conclude his rookie season. So,
right.
And I picked up an Aaron Judge rookie card today, which was exciting. So that was pretty cool. I like that. And he hit a ball over 500 and something feet. 513 or 515 something. It might even be a little bit bigger. I remember seeing one that was 513 in a home run derby. 513 feet. So that was pretty huge. Sanchez did an upset on the defending home run champion last year in the first round. He did pretty good number. He hit 17 or 16.
It was 17.
17.
Defeating Giancarlo Stanton, the defending home run champ.
He ended up getting 16. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty good. The AL won the All-Star game.
Yes, that's their 5th consecutive win, and now they've evened the series with the National League at 43-43-2.
So baseball's up and going, and it's keeping everybody's. The Yankees are better this year. The Yankees are good. They can win a World Series. They can if Tanaka, CC starts coming back around and pitching. Leve, if they all start pitching very well and all that kind of stuff. The Yankees, when the Yankees are good, baseball's better.
I see. Yeah, I see. Yeah, it's good. I mean, you got other teams, that have come out, and that have come out and, surprised everyone. Like, for example, Houston. I mean, the Astros right now,
yeah,
I believe have the best record in the majors. At the moment, but history has proven, regardless whether it's baseball, basketball, or whatever, the team with the best record during the regular season doesn't necessarily always win, the big prize, during the playoffs, tournament, or whatever.
Most of the time, if it's a series, usually the 1 seeds they tend to 1 or 2.
I say on occasion, yeah, that would happen.
Because look at basketball for like basically the last 4-5 years. Golden State or Cleveland, and they're always 1 or 2 respectively seeded in their tournament.
They've been in the finals the last 3 years.
Yeah,
and both teams, I believe, have been the 1 seeds.
One of them
the last 3 times.
Yeah. This year the Celtics were 1 for.
Yeah, the Celtics were the 1 seed
That's
in
crazy.
the East, and Cleveland was the 2.
Who did the Celtics pick up? Did they pick up Paul? They didn't pick up Paul George, did they?
No, the Celtics. Oh God, I forgot who they picked up.
I can't remember.
Shoot.
Oh, Hayward.
Yeah, they picked up Gordon Hayward from Utah.
It was important to pick him up because they messed out on everybody else just about.
Yeah,
and they needed one.
They might have made a bit of a mistake, sending Avery Bradley away.
I like that. It helped me out.
They sent him to Detroit.
Detroit, that was good for the Pistons. So,
and they also sent Kelly Olynyk to Miami.
I think Kelly's one of those players they probably should try to keep hold of. I know money reasons and stuff, and it is about points. You have to look at what Kelly does for you, and Avery, and add their points together. and I think it came out to where it was like 29 or 30 points. And is Gordon Hayward a 30-point scorer? I think he wasn't. I think Gordon Hayward was actually only averaging 24.
No, Hayward wasn't. I don't think Hayward was that type of scorer.
Right. I'm not saying he couldn't be. He can score. But I'm just basically saying it's a points thing where you figure out how many points are you giving up and how many points are you getting back. And if the percentages and what someone's averages is, it's not adding up to what you're giving away, it may not be that great of a deal for you to do, but people still do it.
I said, well, maybe it's not a. I said sometimes in some cases it may be a points thing, and it might be different in other cases.
Right. So that's been going on. At least in the baseball, I kind of got off topic a little bit going into the NBA. We went back a little backpedal, but that's okay. And in baseball, besides all that, the main guy, Aaron Judge, who's been the mountain of mountains in baseball. I mean, the guy's 6'7", 270, 280 pounds, something like that. He's a mountain. And I haven't seen anybody like him in baseball in years. Like even Albert Pujols was a big guy, but not like this guy. I mean, you're basically watching The Undertaker play baseball. Using a wrestling reference.
Well, I mean, okay, Judge, I guess he's kind of like a different. I guess
he's a gigantor.
I want to say kind of like a modern day. I necessarily
look at this. They're showing right here. Look at this.
I don't want to say a modern day version.
Look at these. Look at these other players. They're showing them right here. Look at Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth was 6'2", 215. Aaron Judge is 6'7", 282 pounds.
I just say right.
There's never been anybody like him in baseball. Period.
I just say yeah. It's. I
don't even think Barry Bonds was too. I think Barry Bonds is like 250.
I don't know.
Oh, he got a hold of that. He's got to get down. Oh no.
I don't know. Bonds, I think.
Aaron hit one.
I don't know. Bonds, I think Bonds is a little bit heavy. I mean, with Judge, Judge, you can't tell. I mean, because he has a lot of muscle.
And he's so tall. He's 6'7". 6'7".
I mean, let's say that's
with his cleats. He's probably 6'8" or 6'9".
I mean, he's one of these players, right now that's pretty much will come around once in a lifetime. And this is rookie season, and this is his rookie season, so he's destined for a prosperous Major League Baseball career.
He's not going to be as long as his numbers stay up, and he don't just become this giant oak tree that everybody's afraid of every once in a while. The Yankees will have to pay him to keep him. And they're going to have to pay him pretty well.
Of course.
This is going to be a big contract. They're have to. Yeah. So.
I said, the Yankees got. They got money.
They got money, and you got to think like people like Brett Gardner and even Matt Holliday. Now Gardner's not that old, but he's getting a little bit older. Matt Holliday is for sure old. So you're going to talk about 2 years from now, a year and a half to 2 years, when the contract probably negotiations for Aaron Judge would probably come up. Or if they came up sooner, they could let go of some of those little bit older pieces to make sure they have enough extra money if they needed to. Mm-hmm. So, that's pretty exciting. Denny Hamlin won the NASCAR race today. I don't keep up with NASCAR that much anymore. But he won. He won the race. It guarantees him a spot in the upcoming chase for the Cup, as they like to say. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I haven't watched NASCAR since Jeff left. I tried to go with Chase Elliott, and I can't watch it.
Yeah, I haven't watched it either. I caught bits and pieces of the ESPY Awards, which is this past Wednesday, mm-hmm. and I just say, all the talk, I guess, with Peyton's opening monologue, he made some kind of joke about Kevin Durant, which of course the camera went on Kevin Durant, and he was not happy at all. Well, they explained, he played it off and everything, like everything's okay. But
if I was Kevin Durant, I would have stood up and I would have said, when I say Peyton, you say Broncos. Peyton, Broncos. And the reason why I would have said that was because he's telling me, as Kevin Durant, that I ran and joined another team. But granted, Peyton Manning never ran and joined another team, per se. Indianapolis pushed him away. Okay? But the thing about it is, Peyton could have went anywhere else. Peyton could have went to, like, you know, hell, Kansas City. Okay? The Chiefs were, at that point in time, weren't capable of winning that much. And if Peyton would have came into somewhere like that, he could have really helped him, and it would have meant much more. Well, Peyton won those Super Bowls on the back of that Denver's defense.
Well, I just say, he did win that Super Bowl. I just, 2014, if I'm correct, 2014?
I think so.
Okay, yeah. 2014, yeah. The Broncos won the Super Bowl, with him, marching the team down the field. I said, but Denver's defense, was great, slowing down Carolina, which had the best offense, that year. I said, well, hell, the year before, 2013, Denver had the best offense in the league. I mean, Peyton was throwing touchdowns left, right, and sideways down the field.
Yeah.
Up until they ran to the Super Bowl against Seattle, which, Peyton fumbled the opening punt. Then Seattle ran it back for a safety and was pretty much downhill from there ever since. I see for that. Okay, now flashback to 2006, where Peyton finally won the Super Bowl, with Indianapolis.
Yep. Did he win that? They did win against
Chicago.
Did they beat Seattle that year? Did Denver beat Seattle that year?
No.
They lost.
No. Seattle beat the living pissation out of them.
But then Denver won the next time.
Yes, they beat Carolina.
Right.
Okay, now let's see. Well, in Peyton's case, I guess he decided to come to. As the Colts drafted him. Because hell, you couldn't hardly pay the Colts to make the playoffs when he first arrived.
Right.
Honestly, but given time, they had the right pieces, star wide receivers, a strong offensive line and defensive line. As Indy was pretty much a perennial AFC contender.
And let's see, with Peyton, Peyton didn't come up with that stuff on his own. There was a writer for that. He was just reading a script that he rehearsed or he was told to read. It was funny, I think if you're Durant, Durant just moved on with it, but
yeah, I'd have been like, okay, you know what, this ain't even no big deal, nothing to make no big deal about.
They keep talking about how Durant joined a super team, and we all forget that one of the very first super teams I remember. I'm not even going to go back in the 90s when the Houston Rockets joined up with Charles Barkley and Clyde Drexler and Hakeem Alight. I'm not going to go there. But I will say that one of the first ones I do really remember is Boston with Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett. That was sort of a coming of the super teams right there.
I said, that was, around 2008.
Yeah, that was like three of the best players in the league joining together. It's like the first time in a while that happened. And then if you go even further in, Miami,
Yeah, I just say Miami. Yeah, you had, you had Dwayne. You had Dwayne Wade, Bosh.
Yep. And LeBron James. And they stayed together for a while. And then LeBron leaves there. But he don't go
returns back to Cleveland.
But he don't go to Cleveland and join like a Mo Williams and Dante West again. No, he goes to Cleveland with Kyrie Irving, who's a great young player at that time and still a pretty good player now. And he also gets in some trade moves or free agent. I can't remember how they got him, but Kevin Love, who is no scrub. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just said Kevin Love, he's no scrub. But
Kevin Love's a starter on every single basketball team, even Golden State. Kevin Love is a starter. Where could you put Kevin Love and say he's not a starter? Kevin Love starts on any team in the NBA right now. Wouldn't you say? Kevin Love's a starter.
I just say, yeah, he probably could. I just say, but LeBron, decided, up and come back to Cleveland, to finally bring a championship back to Cleveland, which had been starving, for some kind of for title glory in a long time. In 2016, they finally got it.
So they got their championship. This whole analogy about super teams is hogwash. It's been happening for a while. People just wanted something to talk about.
That's what You know, I don't know about super teams.
It's been happening.
Yeah, we probably know super teams. You know, they've been here. Well, I said, well, probably the main super team that automatically comes to me, the 1992 U.S. Olympic Dream Team.
That's the.
That's
He
the
got a hold of that. No. Gone. Tanaka gave up at one. Stupid.
I'd say, but that's the main one of the main super teams to me. The '92 U.S. Olympic Men's Dream Team: Jordan, Barkley, Olajuwon, Ewing, Bird, etc., etc. The list goes on and on and on.
Oh man!
And they just ran every country right on out of the building, in every game. Games weren't even close.
So, it's just, I don't know. And I can't wait till football season starts. We did hear in the SEC Media Day stuff that was last week.
Yeah, this past week.
Was it Feinbaum?
What's
his name?
There were, it was Paul
Feinbaum.
Paul Feinbaum.
What did he say about Matt Elam?
Well, actually, it wasn't him. It was one of the analysts on the SEC network, Greg McElroy.
Okay.
Who made the comment about Kentucky defensive end Matt Elam, saying that he was lazy and which I'm not gonna say he's.
I'm not gonna say
he's lazy.
I'm not gonna say he's lazy, but I'll say that he's underperformed. That's a fair assumption for me to say. He's underperformed. And Matt, you're not gonna watch this show, but you do follow me on. Well, you don't follow me on Twitter. I follow you. So maybe if you see this post somehow, when I load up this link to this video, and you watch this, don't get mad at the fans and SEC media people and being critics of your game.
Well, I mean,
go watch the film and see if you disagree.
Well, I mean, he decided, he's just gonna use that, as motivation or whatever.
I hope he does.
Which is
right.
fine.
Right.
And so that's fine. Because sometimes constructive criticism,
Was he a 4 or 5 star?
4, I believe.
4-star? Did they go to 5 in college? I know they do in basketball. With college football, do they go 5 stars or do they only go 4?
I think they go 5.
Well, either way, Matt, you were a top prospect. Definitely a top 100 player, I believe, for sure. You had teams like Alabama looking at you. Okay, Alabama. Win national championships just about every freaking year or be in consideration, or at least the Final Four playoff. Alabama. If you play 2 seasons like you have at Kentucky at Alabama, you be transferring. You be transferring to Kentucky or somewhere else. You're not, or you would just be riding that pine, riding the bench, or thin metal, aluminum, because they ain't made of wood most of the time anymore. And I'm not saying anything wrong here. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying he's playing. If I went in his position, I couldn't do any better. But that's bad that he would play just as good as I'm only $180, and he's not playing up to his potential. That's all there is to it. He's not playing up to his potential.
Well, I said, maybe this might be the year, that he breaks out and he has a fantastic season. It might get him on. He might land him on first team All SEC defense or whatever. Honestly, you never know. It could happen.
Right. We hope so.
Yeah. Well, there was also something else that was said.
Where did they put us? Didn't they put us like 4th or 5th?
That was another thing I was going to mention. They put Kentucky, 5th, which is kind of the middle of the pack in the SEC East.
That's bull.
Considering how the SEC East has been in the last few years, that might not be too well, at times it may be too far fetched. I mean, cause hell, half the time. I mean, if you looked at SEC football and you look at the East Division, hell, you can't tell which team is gonna win the division. One week it might be Florida, next week Georgia, next week Tennessee, next week South Carolina,
and then out of nowhere Kentucky wins like 7 or 8 straight, and then you're going, man, if they would have just beat, what was it, Eastern Michigan at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know that. Well, if they would have just beaten Southern Miss,
sorry,
at the start of the year, and won one more SEC game, Georgia,
they would have been.
Well, this team would have been five. Well, actually,
what did they finish last year?
They finished at an even 4-4 in the SEC, which is the best finish they've had in conference play in some time. I mean, hell, as far as I'm concerned, you know what I'm saying, Kentucky finishing at 500 in the SEC is pretty much damn near miraculous.
And they're practically returning, besides their running back situation. But Benny Snell is going to be awesome. Of course, you got Johnson coming back as quarterback, and you got Barker there. That if Johnson starts slumping or an injury, you got Barker. It's not like it's down the hill if Johnson goes out. They're returning just about everybody else. So if you went 4-4 last year, you had a hiccup early against some non-actual good opponents that you probably should have beat easily, especially your opening game. And you really add that in. And what you want to say is they're not going to lose a game like they did last year in opening against a well,
I'm okay. Well, I don't know.
I would say 2 losses off. If we take 2 losses off from last year, what is our record?
9-4, and they would have 9-4, and possibly 5-3 in the SEC East, which they could have been in a pretty decent bowl game. Okay, granted, it was a Tax Slayer Bowl against Georgia Tech. They played on New Year's Eve, but they probably could have played in a different bowl game.
I think we go 6-2 in the SEC next year, and I don't think we lose a non-conference game against our weaker opponents. So
probably okay.
So I'm gonna give us
they open up at Southern Miss.
That's a win.
They have Eastern Kentucky.
Win.
Eastern Michigan.
Win.
And the final game of the year, home against Louisville, which does return Lamar Jackson.
Now that's going to be tough, but we're at home. And what happened last year when we were on the road?
How does the Kentucky Kentucky pulls tricks out of the sleeve to win the game?
And now we're at home. We're better, I think. So we win that game. So all the non-conference games you just mentioned, that's 4. That's 4 wins. And I think we're only going to lose about 2 games in the SEC.
Okay. With that being said, the home games. Let's see, they got Missouri.
That's a win.
Tennessee.
Win.
Ole Miss.
Winning.
And Florida.
There's your 1 loss.
Which is...
It's at Kentucky, right?
Yes.
But I'm still going to count that as a loss.
And I was saying, God forbid. And yes, we have heard the story a million times. Kentucky has lost to Florida 30 straight times in football.
Not this year.
We are tired of hearing that.
Not this year.
And I hope and pray the heavens above that Kentucky finally pulls out.
Okay, I did say that was our loss. So I'm going back, but I'll just go ahead and say that's our loss, just based on paper, that we haven't won in 30 years, and it's Florida, even though it's at home. I have to say a loss eventually. I've been saying win, 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 win.
Okay.
So there's 1 loss. Who's our road games?
Okay, the road games. Okay, South Carolina.
Which we've won like 3 years in a row now, right?
Yes, they've beaten South Carolina 3 straight times.
I got them. We got them.
Okay. Vanderbilt.
Got that game.
Mississippi State.
We got it.
And probably the second loss might be at Georgia.
There you go. Georgia and Florida. You're losing to Georgia and Florida. You're beating everybody else. 2 losses. What is 2 losses against Georgia and Florida? What would that put us with only 2 losses? Okay. I mean, if we get lucky, maybe Florida and them have 3 losses or something. Where are we looking at? I mean, are we looking for playing for the SEC championship then?
Well, they would be sitting at 6-2, and if everything plays out, if all the right scenarios plays out and all the cards land right, Kentucky could possibly be in Atlanta for the SEC championship game, which more than likely they'll probably have to play 9 times out of 10. They'll more likely have to play Alabama unless somebody out west, gets lucky and knocks them off.
So if
the top.
hypothetically, if Kentucky would only lose 2, but still earn the right because Florida loses 3 or something like that, and they play in the SEC championship, hypothetically, very, very rare it's going to happen. But if they would beat Alabama, they would be then in the Final Four for sure.
They could.
No, they would be. With only 2 losses coming out of the SEC?
Well, I mean, it could. Honestly, that's a strong possibility that could happen, but you got to look at what everybody else around the country does. As you got to look at the teams from the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12.
Especially
etc.
like if Kentucky at this point would only have 2 losses, be in the SEC championship game, they'd probably be ranked somewhere in the top 15. Then, if Alabama at this point in the SEC championship game is probably undefeated, haven't lost yet. And if Kentucky would beat the number 1 ranked overall team that's undefeated in an SEC championship game and win, that would move Kentucky into the top 10, maybe top 4 or 5, and that would put them into the playoffs.
I'd say, probably, but of course, for some reason, that also, depends on, they throw in different other, scenarios. I guess, style points, margin of victory, or whatever.
Well, it's true, too. How many teams is Kentucky going to beat that's ranked? Because if we said they lost to Georgia and Florida, that's 2 of the teams they should have beat that are ranked.
Yeah.
Everyone else is the only other team would be Louisville and then Alabama. They would be 2-2 against ranked opponents, but one of them could be an undefeated in the SEC championship game, Alabama, number 1, and another one could be an easily top 5 team or top 10 team in Louisville. So that would give them 2 wins, but
probably. Honestly, but of course,
wishful thinking.
Yeah, that's it. But there's probably no guarantee that Louisville's going to be ranked in the top 5 or 10 by the time the Kentucky game rolls around.
No,
because that game is Thanksgiving weekend, last game of the season.
So,
Georgia and Florida more than likely, I believe, are somewhere in the top 10 or 15. Well, those are the only 2 from the East. Most everybody that's ranked from the SEC is out west. Which of course, that brought me to another point. Okay, Florida State coach Jimbo Fisher, had made a statement earlier this week saying that the ACC has now leapfrogged the SEC as the premier conference in college football. Okay, let's do probably. I guess based on the last 2 times the ACC and SEC have played for the national championship. With Clemson, rallying to beat Alabama in the closing seconds last year. If you flash back to 2014 national championship game, Auburn, Florida State, in which Florida State won due to a kind of a questionable pass interference call late. Yeah. Okay, but
Florida gets lucky.
Yeah, I said okay. Florida State got lucky. Okay, Auburn could have easily won.
Right.
Okay, but they need to take a look at this. Okay, before Florida State and Clemson won those titles, it had been a long time since the ACC actually won a championship in football. Hell, the SEC has had at least 1 team compete for a national championship the last 11 for the last 10 plus years running. I don't care. If it's just Alabama or Auburn or whoever. And the SEC, they've had multiple teams, that look like they can compete for the title.
Right.
I guess they probably said that because, the SEC, they beat each other up, basically. The ACC, they really only got like 2 teams that maybe could win it. Florida State and Clemson.
We're only going to know when it's over.
Yeah.
But Alabama, I'd love to beat them, but honestly, Nick Saban, Alabama.
It's
Alabama.
Yeah, I just said, about that scenario, about Jimbo Fisher's scenario, okay, now to see, you just check it out, September 2nd, opening night of college football, Alabama, Florida State in prime time, and if, okay, now to see if, I'm not picking sides here, but
if you leapfrogged, you should beat them, right? So we'll find out.
Yeah, and if Alabama somehow mysteriously beats Florida State by like 30 points or something, well, or if Florida State does the same, well, hell, that should tell you something.
Yeah, the only place he got leapfrogged was on his old 2001 NCAA football on the PlayStation 1 that he was playing. They don't make NCAA football no more for the newer consoles, so. Oh, well, we are at 30 minutes, and I do believe that may be a little longer, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's actually what we said we were going to be longer. And last Sunday we were on, and this Sunday we were back, and here we are again. And we'll be back hopefully next Sunday with more updates, information, or something we want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know what's coming up. Oh, Big 3 basketball tomorrow, and then...
Yeah. Let's see. Well, right now they got the NBA Summer League basketball.
More baseball, obviously.
Yeah, let's see. No, baseball's in full swing.
Right. So, no pun intended. Full swing.
All right, now stop
Got it.
it.
You said full swing. So
don't take that the wrong way, y'all.
No. He meant the actual swing, like, swinging a bat, full swing. So yeah, it makes sense. But hey, we'll be back next Sunday with more topics to talk about. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button,
share, comment.
There we go. We'd appreciate it if you do all those things. It really, really make us happy. If 10 of you guys that watch this could just hit the like button, even if you don't watch the whole entire show, just hit the like button that you just even clicked on the little title. Oh, I clicked the title. Here's a like, guys. Bye. We'd really appreciate just hitting the like button. Thank you. So, we'll catch you guys next week. Local John 1812.
jrod84.
Peace.
See you guys.